11:28, he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." It's like Sister Nisi said about trying to waylay the stress and keeping the stress down. That's what it's about, finding peace. It's just different for everybody. You have to find peace your way. We're all different. So you have to find it the way it works for you. And the other one is John 14. And this is one of the greatest scriptures there are. And it's John 14, 1-6. And it says about Jesus comforting his disciples. He said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I am going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going." And Jesus said, when he was still talking, Thomas said to him, "Lord, we don't know where you are going, so how can we know the way?" Jesus answered, "I'm the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." So, like I said, I did a study on peace, and I'm kind of just I'm going to give you what God gave me. One of the things that we do a lot and causes unrest, I think, is we dwell on the past. Don't dwell on the past. Look to the forward. Look to where you're at now, because people, of course, want to bring up your past. That's always an issue with people. But look to the future. Look where you're at now. Look how far you've come. Okay? Because what you did before, that's there. Okay? But it's now what we're talking about. And I put, life tosses us many storms and tests. And I ask God to help give you hope and peace through all the circumstances of your life. We've all had rough times. God's always there. And a short testimony for me, which I actually wrote a book, but I didn't publish it. But I actually had a friend that just wrote a book. Her name is Chris Ward. It's called Silent No More. And it is out at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, different bookstores. But she came from here, and she was a victim of abuse. And the book is just phenomenal. But I grew up in this city. I was a victim of many circumstances. My father was alcoholic, very violent alcoholic. My family, we had a very large family, and I was raped when I was 10 years old. I was a victim of incest. I had abuse for basically 5 years anyway, and there were other people involved with that, but life was very hard for us, and we were very poor, but we didn't know it. I got a lot of abuse growing up. From the time I was probably 6 years old till about 9th grade, I was spit on, cussed at, beat up because of our circumstances, because we were poor, because we wore hand-me-downs, the different things of life that threw us where we were at. And even though I didn't know God, I kind of did my own thing. And God was always there with me through the good and the bad. He was waiting for me, okay? And what I put here was, quit being a victim. You are victorious, okay? We've all been a victim. I was a victim, okay? It wasn't my fault, but I was a victim. And I wasn't the only victim, okay? And two of 3 of my abusers have since passed on, okay? And I had to make peace. I had to forgive them. I had to come to grips in my life. I met God when I was 17. And I think for all the abuse and what I went through, like I said, rape, incest, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, being told every day, I wish you weren't here, I wish you weren't born, okay, until I left home at 17. But God saved my life, because if he didn't take me out of my home, if he didn't take my sister out of my home, because there was like 4 of us, we all kind of left within 2 months, I would have probably been dead. I would have been a statistic. But God saved my life so I could speak to others, so I could minister the things that he put in my spirit. He gives me dreams, he gives me visions, he gives me words. And I think that I asked God many times over the years. I mean, I'm good now, but it took a long time. I said, Lord, why? Why did I have to go through that stuff? Why did I have to suffer? And I believe that I had to do that in order to come to know him, because I wouldn't have come any other way. You know, there was no easy road. My life has not been easy, but I wouldn't have come to Jesus. I wouldn't have seen a need of him if I didn't go through the things that I went through. So I rebelled. I did my own thing, you know, because nobody cared, basically. We had abuse, not discipline. So just did my own thing, because I was trying to find love. I was a teenager trying to find love in all the wrong places, you know. Did some drinking, sleeping around, this, that, etc., because I thought somebody got to care about me, somebody got to love me. And that's what I did, to reach out, to kind of heal my pain, because we hid the abuse so well. And when you're in an abusive situation like that, you protect the abuse, because you're told to keep your mouth shut and don't tell people what's going on, because the cops used to come to our house. They knew us. They all came, and you know, nothing ever really got resolved with it, but you know, it was hidden very well. So you know, so after I left home, I graduated. I met my first love at 19, married early, lost 1 baby, 2 live births, 2 grandkids. I was a young widow at 36, devastating. It's almost actually it'll be 20 years in December, but it was devastating. I nearly lost my mind. I went through severe clinical depression. I didn't want to live. I tried some crazy stuff, kind of tried to kill myself this way, kill myself that way, because I didn't feel that life was worth living. I didn't think that I could go on. You know, my children we all fell apart at that time. And my daughter, severe depression, and my son, denial. And it was hard. It was hard raising kids by myself. But, you know, my kids were older. She was 12, my daughter was 14 and a half when her dad died. And my son was 12. So it was tough. It was a hard time. I was in and out of the hospitals. I was in the psych units. I just didn't want to go on. I just refused medicines, etc. And I was basically in and out for about 54 days. Then I decided one day that I had to get it together, because God spoke to me in January '94, and he said, wake up. You're the only one that could take care of those kids. There's nobody else. You've got to get it straight. So I got out of the hospital. I went to a halfway house for 30 days. And, you know, my children were in other places while I was in the hospital. And I was on antidepressants and anxiety medicine for a little while. But I've been off everything since May of '94. I've not taken anything. I know the feelings of depression. I know the feelings of anxiety. And normally, if it comes my way, I just pray against it, because I know it's a spirit. I know it's not godly. So I come against that. I don't let it overtake me. Okay. But